Hello, everyone. So, for a while, I've been wanting to begin and to try to learn a language that is a non Indo European language because I've been very curious about different language structures and just different cultures because mostly my focus has been on Western languages in Europe. And, well, Spanish is European, but also I traveled in the Americas. So, So it came down in deciding Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, it was mainly between that or Arabic. Whereas Arabic, I was more interested in the culture. I'm very interested in Arabic culture and the food and the countries, and I just find a lot of that area of the world very fascinating. But I ended up choosing Chinese because I'm still interested in Chinese culture and Mandarin being the official language of China. And I love the writing system. I think it's beautiful. Well, I like the Arabic writing system as well. I think both are very beautiful. But when I'm choosing a language, it's not just pure interest because I'm interested in a lot of things, but it's also interest and utility. And in New York, there's a huge Mandarin speaking population. Originally, like, Chinatown's a Cantonese speaking area. And traditionally, there's been more Cantonese speakers, especially in New York. But in recent times, more and more Mandarin speakers have been moving to New York, and there's a lot of Mandarin speakers. And I've been hearing a lot of Mandarin in the area. And it's a international language. It's, as you know, the official language of Taiwan, China, so I'd like to travel to these areas someday. So that's why I ended up choosing to start to learn Chinese. That, and I had a free course that was offered through my medical school about basic medical Mandarin. So I took the course. It was about 6 classes this past fall. And at the end of the course, I could, speak some basic things. I could introduce myself. I could recognize a couple things. And I could basically have just basically give an introduction to a patient and express that I don't really speak Mandarin Chinese, and that's about all that I could do. But I wanted to go a step further with my Mandarin, so over Thanksgiving weekend, I bought Pimsleur's Mandarin Chinese, and I listened by now to the first 8 lessons, and I bought Assimil's Chinese with Ease, and I've gone through a couple lessons. And I bought also the Assimil's writing in Chinese because I want to learn to write and to read as well. I'm not in a hurry to become fluent. I'm doing this very slowly. When I have time, I go through a little bit, and I am making progress, but it's slower progress. And I also use a site called Memrise, and so this is a website that's basically used in kind of a Rosetta Stone style. I never liked Rosetta Stone when I tried it with a demo version for Russian. I really didn't get into it. I didn't like the pictures, the way it's set up. I found it to be boring sitting in front of my computer. But I find Memrise or Rosetta Stone, either one, to be great for learning a language, to recognize characters in Chinese because you visually see it, and I associate it with, at least with Memrise, whatever they show it. So like for Tian, they'll show a picture of what actually looks like a field, and then they'll show it as a field, the character for it turning into like a field. So now I can recognize that character much easier because I associate it with something. Or I don't know, just all the way they teach the characters seems to make sense, and I can learn them a little bit faster with that. So I've been going through some characters slowly. I've been trying to learn to just do basic things in Chinese, and I'm enjoying it. So it's more of just a pastime, and hopefully within maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, I may be fluent, but I'm not rushing into Mandarin. I'm not going to China anytime soon. I'm just going to try to work through these books over the next year. Yeah, I should finish in a year and a half, hopefully, all of this, and then we'll see where I take it from there. So that's an update on my newest language, and I want to stress the importance. When you start a new language that's difficult, a lot of people go and buy one source, and I think that's completely wrong. I believe it's good to have lots of different sources because you're going to get bored learning from just one source all of the time. So I use lots of different sources, lots of different methods, get lots of different perspectives, and I believe that gives myself a more rounded education. And it, because when you go to a foreign country, you hear people speaking the language, they speak it in many different ways, and depending on the region that they're from. And it's good to have this kind of flexibility where you get different people's inputs and different people's way of teaching it and different perspectives. Some people may focus on one part of the language, where another method may focus on something else. And so while you're learning, doing a bunch of them together is a good idea, not one after the other. Because if you do one after the other, the problem is that once you start the next one, the beginning lessons are all way too basic. It's just boring. But if you do a couple lessons simultaneously together, the diversity makes it a little more fun. And on top of that, you get a couple different perspectives. So I guess that's my lesson for today. And thanks for listening.